interesting touch point. I gotta tell you, brother, I was really taken aback and moved. People is a gift that the Lord gave me. And you do that like seed when you have an extroverted personality. You know, you just throw this stuff about, maybe not even knowing what the Lord's going to do.
Yeah.
And then this kid turns around and says, what?
And that's when God literally turned a page in my life. I was working one day, and Brock showed up at my job looking for some dress clothing. And I was so nervous, but he always stuck with me. And I remember I was so nervous about saying something, and should I? And I eventually did, and then of course I asked him, knowing that he's Brock, "Are you Brock?" And his face lit up, and he said yes, and we chatted for maybe 5 minutes, and he probably doesn't even remember this, but I'll never forget it. And he encouraged me to come back, and I did.
Amen, brother. Congratulations.
I'm at work, and I got all 18 inches in my hair. But absolutely, right when I knew it was you, like right when I saw you, I knew it was you. Like I said, you're in one of the posters up there. I remember when I was walking to work, I would see you every day. I knew who you were. I knew. But I remember kind of just turning around, and immediately, I saw you before you saw me. And that's when I was thinking in my head, like, okay, do I say something here?
I didn't know that.
And because I saw you walking up. And then once you got closer to the register, I was like,
yeah, right.
And for you, it was just
wedding.
It was just a 5-minute, like, conversation. But I definitely remember, like, acknowledging, like, I went to Encounter, and you just said about just, like, going back and going and just, like, I remember, like, hope to see you again, buddy. Like, like, saying that. And I remember, you walked away, and for for you, it might have been just a quick conversation, but for me, it was like, oh my God, like it was just laid in front of my lap. Like, and then ever since then, although I didn't go back right after that, I noticed the work started happening. And although life went downhill, I remember my faith growing more and more. And it was to the point where I was so at my low where I needed saving. I wanted peace. And that's where I literally started going to YouTube. I literally thought of Encounter Church because of you. And it changed my life. It changed my life. Seeing you up there, it's almost a relieving feeling. And I had to go back. And when I went back, seeing Vern speak, oh my goodness.
Forward you.
Yeah, absolutely. And seeing righteous men in your life, like, and once you do it and you realize that it all makes sense.
It does.
It's all for you. It's all because he loves you.
That's beautifully said, Andrew. Learn this. It's so beautiful. What was your greatest weight? What was your greatest anchor? What was your greatest sin? Infused with actual redemptive spirit power in Jesus becomes your greatest superpower. It doesn't even take a stretch. If you just intellectually walk through this, Jesus assembles what essentially turns into a revolutionary 12, and he's getting the most busted up cats the face of the earth has to offer.
Yeah.
People that are stealing, reprobates, everybody that is so damaged. It's not a fluke that he picked these people, because what they will have to interact with after he's gone are ex-Romans that just threw cats to the lions, prostitutes, like salty people. You don't want to send out a bunch of trust fund babies that can't relate to anybody, that have no problems, right? Gospel is, that's one of the reasons it's got authenticity to it.
You said about superpowers is I watched it. I'm a witness of, I know there's kids out there today that don't know when their mom's going to come back home, that don't know when dad's going to come back home. They say they're going to hang out with friends, they're saying they're going out to do this, do that, and they don't know, and they know they're drinking, and they're too young to understand. I've been in those shoes. You don't know what tomorrow looks like. You don't know.
And it's that's not the way a kid's supposed to be.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was forced into a young age of, I had to get my stuff together quick and take a grasp of reality as a young age, because I had to understand where my mom was, why I was put in these situations, why I'm going to this school now, why I have to meet these new people, why I have to go to my 9th school. And it wasn't all her fault either, though. And I had to realize that, because as a young kid, you just want to look at them and say, you're not here, it's all your fault, because you're my responsibility, you're supposed to be taking care of me, why don't you have your stuff together? And now I'm 20 years old, and I'm looking around, and I'm saying, oh my goodness,
this is harder than it looks.
Yeah, this is way harder than it looks. But the superpower is she got the rehab. She's gonna get her 10-year coin in June.
Dude,
10
so
years,
great.
10 years, a decade of sobriety for my mother sounds like I just won $1 million. It's not real. It's not real to say. That's why I put it in days out at my baptism. I said 3,300 and some change, because when you put it like that, it really and it's not to shame on anybody. If it's your 10th day, if it's your 15th day, congratulations. Like you're
no
strong.
doubt.
That's amazing.
Yeah, right.
But I just wanted to show it because there was times where my mother and sobriety were not even in the same field.
Sentence.
Weren't even in the same sentence. Absolutely not. It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been. And my life wouldn't have been where I am today if she didn't do that for me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't her for me. You know what she was learning in AA? Christ and God. And she turned to God and she turned to Jesus. And although everybody struggles with their faith I would argue, what Christian do you know that isn't skeptical about something? No one's 100%.
No, and they're lying
one's
if they say
right,
different.
Right. No one's going to be 100%. But to see that she would even just put her faith in that after living those ways for so long, and it changed our lives. It changed my sister's life. It changed my life. It made me realize that there can be change. But seeing a change that significant, I mean, it's undescribable.
You know, you said 10-year coin.
Yeah.
Anybody who has any understanding of addiction, that is Herculean.
Like when you say superpower, she worked at rehabs afterwards. Although they might have seen it on a textbook, I've sat here and lived it, and I can advocate for you. And it reminds me of the advocate that we have. You know what I mean? Like seeing that it can change her life like that, to knowing that, okay, my mother, I'm going to see my mother as an alcoholic for 10 years of my life, but then I'm going to see her save hundreds, if not thousands of people herself with her own story. And that's what made me sit there and think, okay, instead of asking why me, now I understand. I understand why it was me. I understand because although in the moment I didn't know the plot and I wanted peace, right? I wanted to get out of that. Of course. I'm a kid. I wanted to live my childhood.
Right.
I want to do my own thing. I want to play basketball, you know? You can tell I have some love for basketball. I only started playing when I was 15, 16. That's when I was able to, though. That's when we finally could sit down and be able to, right.
Kind of the oceans.
And sobriety came.
Yeah.
Jesus came into our lives and literally like white as snow, washed. I'll never forget hearing that, like coming here 8 months ago again, coming back and seeing the snow out every day. And Vern, this was before he retired. That's real. I hope he does. But at the same time, I hope he comes back.
No chance he'll retire. No chance, brother.
Yeah, but the impact he's had, and hearing him just say, like washing things white as snow.
Yeah.
When you have that in your heart, where you know that you're wrong and you've done wrong, and you know you need that forgiveness. Like I was searching for peace for so long in every which way. But the way that I was asking for the whole time, I was looking for an answer. I was looking at why me, right? Why was I put in these situations, God? But I won't even take the time to learn you. I won't even take the time to understand who you are. Who am I to like I said earlier, sit there and ring the bell? He's not gonna. Who is he to answer?
Yeah.
My friends have obviously known me for a couple years now. I said that I got in my baptism, I got to see my friends. So they've known me for about, my longest tenured friend is probably 8 or 9 years, which is awesome for me. Saying that out loud, that's amazing.
Yeah, because you're so transitory as a kid.
But I know people that, you know what I mean, that known all my life, that's the thing. And I wish I could have that, but I am happy that I've had the situation I've been in. I've seen both sides of the coin. Who I was, and then all of a sudden I'm talking about Christ on these Xbox parties, and I'm talking about God when we're playing basketball, and I'm talking about and seriously, it really hits people different, because it's like Andrew, like they kind of look at me and they're like, it's almost like I'm playing an act, and days goes on, and it's like, and they realize like, oh, it's not going away. It's getting more and more and more. And I like to use like the analogy of like, imagine if like a doctor that knew a cure, they're sitting there eating their lunch and they know that someone's sitting there sick. Would that doctor sit there and just eat that sandwich and keep going? No, they're going to sit there and they're going to go to that person and say, hey, I have the cure. I know the answer. I know the way. So I can't imagine one day when I'm rising up to Jesus and when he comes back and I have to turn my back and look at my friends and say, oh, I didn't want to come off like a fanatic. I didn't want to come off like I was crazy because I knew the way.
So right.
And I didn't want to, and now I have to sit here and you're looking at me, Andrew, well, you didn't tell me this whole time.
Secret sauce, Andrew, right? and you didn't tell me, right?
And that's not what I wanted to come off as. And I get scared to lose some of my friends because I don't want to come off like a fanatic like that, you know. So and I understand, especially being before so involved, I guess, with the faith. It's like hearing other people talk about it. You can be very quick to say, "Oh, you're forcing it on me." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's why I feel like everybody has their own journey. I feel like God will literally call you. The Holy Spirit will call you. Like I said, I was put in my on my knees in shambles, looking for peace, looking for peace. I just wanted peace. I just wanted quietness.
You remember that?
And absolutely. I remember that 8 months ago. I remember the first day I came here with my mother, and I was so scared to come because I didn't want to go alone. And because of coming here before, and I didn't, the awkward, and now it's,
shame.
now it's nothing to me. Now it's, I want to bring everybody I can here. You know what I mean? But going with my mother,
Beautiful.
going with my mother that first time, and especially seeing her, she knew I was serious. I said, no, come down here. She lives with her boyfriend. I was like, no, come down here. We're going to drive up. I'm going every week now. Like this is, I'm like I said in my baptism, enough is enough. Like I'm done running away. I'm done doing that. Like I'm done doing that. I can't run away anymore. I can't run away anymore because I know he's there. I know he's calling me. There's a reason why I'm thinking about this every time. There's a reason why. My grandfather's probably one of the only righteous men I know that is a great man and has been a great man for all of my 20 years. And although he's not involved in church as I wish he would be, and he, you know what I mean?
But he lived solid.
Exactly. But and he does believe in Jesus. He believes in, I asked him that. I had to do that. It felt like I had to go to him and said, you know what? Okay, I know that you might have lived this solid life. You might have done everything right. That's fine, but like Vern said, what if you come up? You don't want to come up one short. It's not a how much you've done question. It's a relationship question. So I asked him. I said, "Do you have a relationship with Christ? Do you believe that? Not only that, you can't believe that Jesus is a good prophet. You can't believe that Jesus was just no. Like read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and make it up for yourself.
Yeah, amen
read
to
the
that.
evidence and make it up for yourself and see." I just wish that people would take the time to understand the faith. I feel like it's a common thing as a young person when someone would ask, like, "Are you Christian?" You just say yes, but you have no idea what that means. But and even I noticed when I talk to my friends now, seeing like when I talk to it, I can tell like the talks that they've had with people were so like, it's almost like, oh well, you've cussed all your life. You're going to hell. You're stuck in your ways. And it makes me think, well, they're not living up to their own part because they're not perfect. They're not, there's a reason why they need this
deflection.
Right. And it's like, and I don't,
You know what? It's interesting you say that because all of us grew up in the West and in America and had to, even when we were cultural Christians and he wasn't king of our heart, we had to navigate like the distastefulness in the mouths of others. But here's something I noticed only in America where like, Jesus is like a pop icon and he's in the air, but that's just an intellectual thing. Sort of like Jordan's in the air, right?
Yeah, right.
He's like a demigod in the air. But one of the things I've noticed is a liability because I've been in a lot of continents now. In this country, salvation that you are depicting so beautifully, think of that as a stone that you have to turn over to discover it. So many people I know think they've turned over the stone of Jesus, but they haven't.
Yeah.
So since they think they've already turned over that stone, when they hear Jesus, they're like, I've turned over that stone.
Right, yeah.
And what you're saying beautifully is you haven't turned over that stone.
Yeah.
It would be better if in your own mind, you've never turned over that stone because you get it more genuinely. Most of the time people are dealing with like church hurt.
Yeah.
Or some crap friend
Exactly.
that like
Relative.
put a bad taste in your
Yeah,
mouth. That's
yes.
what they're thinking of. They don't have any interaction with actual source material. Yeah.
Scripture.
Right.
And God.
Scripture.
And
who
a
he is.
relationship.
Yeah.
Some people don't even understand it's a relationship.
Yeah, right.
Like he's here now. Like
Right.
together, like through us. Like when you feel that love, like that's what that is. Like and I try to explain it to my friends because I just can't sit here and not, it's like just like an exploding.
And I think
like,
he will use
it's
you mightily, brother, as I've gotten to talk to you a little bit. I think he will use you mightily in just those people. Wilson's producing over here and I'm always encouraging him. I'm like, the people that you guys will be able to, I was in the military for a while and the military picks out these people for a host of reasons, highly trains them, and then sets them on very specific missions.
Yeah.
And they're often not the missions that Gen Pop does. And the reason they're able to do that is because they have certain unique things that allow them to acclimate into different environments. I think it is so brilliant to think of the kingdom of God in a very similar way. What's happening to you at this time in your life?
It was relationship issues. Unfortunately, I was glorifying relationships instead of God and glorifying trying to be with somebody that wasn't even meant for me. I was definitely going through a lot abusive relationship myself, and that took a toll on me. And I wouldn't think I would be put in those positions. I wouldn't ever thought of myself being in those shoes until you are that.
Yeah.
And that literally showed me you know what? Now that you asked that, it made me remember that. Vern, one of one thing, it was Vernon, I think it was Vernon that said it, God will never leave you, like God will never leave. And then we were singing about that, and I remember thinking like, and like pleading the blood of Jesus, like literally, like
Yes.
I
I do it
oh
all
my
the time.
gosh,
So much
like,
power in it.
and I remember you, yes, and you were singing that, and I remember you sat there and you said, like, seriously, like, think about these words that we're saying right now, really pleading the blood of God.
I
and
do it to my
understanding, like,
children, Andrew. I do it to people
yeah.
in the grocery store when I
yes,
see
like, and
brokenness on them.
yeah.
There's so much power in it. Christians get weirded out, but I don't know why.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I guess the term's weird and everything,
yeah,
but do we believe that he has resurrection power?
Exactly.
Do we believe
Yeah.
that we're saved by the blood? We sing about these things.
yeah, and it's hearing Vern say just when you're fiending for that feeling of like lonelyhood, and you want somebody there, and you want them to be there, and they're not there, and they haven't even figured themselves out yet, and their relationship with Christ, and God showed me like even like just yesterday how we're saying with this whole like Hershey stuff, like God will close the door or God will keep the door open.
Yes.
And it says in the Bible, he shuts doors. He
Yeah.
shuts doors.
Yeah.
The door was slammed shut and slammed shut. And
On you.
It absolutely hit me in the worst way, because it just made me feel like I had everything. I had the thing I wanted. And in reality, that's not what I wanted. And I feel like I felt like that because of the hardships from being a child, from not having a connection. I always want a connection. So maybe now that I'm older, now that I can be with somebody, that can be the connection. And that's such a naive feeling that I felt in the moment. And looking back on it, I wish I could have a conversation with myself saying, oh my goodness, what are you doing right now? You know what I mean? Like, why are you doing what you're
It's
doing?
so relatable, Andrew.
And-
it's so relatable, though. Think about
Yeah.
how many people have that. They're addicted to that. I mean, you see it everywhere. You see it in these dating apps.
Yeah.
You see it. I mean, like your generation, particularly, when I watch them, the way they're interacting with each other is so busted up. So they're
Exactly. It's not even
destroying each other.
It's not even a real relationship at this point. And that's why
Angle. Yeah.
Right. It's all about angles. It's
Yeah.
all about my way. It's all about me. It's
Yeah.
not anything to do with the self-sacrificial love that actually is love.
Right.
Like when we had that guest speaker in, I'm forgetting his name.
Yeah, wasn't that power? Love is water is wet.
Yes,
Love is
like
love.
it's not. Yes, it's like it's the self-sacrificial. I'm gonna worry about you without any regard for me, and it has nothing to do with me. It has no selfish anything. I'm choosing for the well-being of you. And that's what that love is, and it's like
The world will bow before it. Like it's the most power. That's why Jesus revolutionized the world. Kings have no answer for it.
Yeah.
Tyrants have
Yeah.
no answer for
Yeah.
it. When we think about all these things that wield power, what you just described, every human on the planet will give everything for it.
It's just
When they see it, when they
it's-
can see it.
right, and when
There's a
you-
lot of deception.
Exactly.
So we
and
don't
that's
see
why,
it.
and with relationship, it's like it's almost like you want that power. You want that. I want it to be this way. And you shouldn't
Yeah.
want to change anybody. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And because everybody's made in God's image, and I have to think that okay, God's still working in your life too. And sometimes you have to sit there and you have to understand that.
Yeah.
And as tough as a
Grace.
it's hard to
Yeah.
right, having grace,
Yes.
having mercy, but also understanding that like everything's gonna happen for a reason and it's gonna play out. Whether or not it played out the way you wanted. But guess what? Looking
It's
back
a
on it, you'll
beautiful,
like it.
mature thing you're saying. Like if you would have been given what you wanted at the time,
Exactly.
it would not have produced peace or joy.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's a thing that
Absolutely.
maybe in the next struggle that you and I have, meaning tomorrow will bring challenges to our fears and to
Yeah.
our flesh, but the legacy that he has in us, oh no, you were at work then.
Yeah.
And I know you were, that brings it a little easier. Sometimes I see these seasoned patriarchs and matriarchs in the church and I look at them, live their life like superheroes. And I'm like, how do you have this kind of patience? How do you have the aroma of Christ? Well, they have been crawling between the beasts and the angels for as long as I've been in diapers or whatever it is. And they just got like more trust in the system,
Yeah.
trust in the sovereignty.
Yeah. And in
Yeah.
tune.
Yeah,
with
in
God.
tune.
It's like
Walking in the spirit, not in
Yeah.
our own flesh. Desire. Like right now, I'll share something with you. What he's doing to me right now is he's peeling away. I think he's doing that to you too in your conversation with me, but he's peeling away what I didn't realize were like a lot of addictions to the world. So what I mean by that is like, people don't think of like how we entertain ourselves as being addiction. But for me, it was, right? Yeah. So you got like, I come to the end of the day and I just want to burn it down with a couple Netflix or whatever it is. And I'm not casting shade on all that stuff. Yeah. People can navigate that for themselves. But for me, there were just these certain things. Amazon was one of them, for example. So you can imagine canceling your Amazon, how inconvenient that is for you. But I had to do that. I had to do a cancel of all the subscription entertainment things. And what I was realizing, dude, is he was peeling this stuff back to, you're an athlete, you like basketball. When you first work out, your body's sore, everything sucks. But you can get to a point working out where you almost want the feeling of working out, right? And your appetite's changed.
It breaks me down. It breaks me down. It puts me at my lowest. And I in a way, you get that feeling again. Yes. Because you know, okay, now when I hop in this sauna and I get out of here, I'm feeling stronger than I've ever felt. Exactly.
Spiritually, when you grow, it's very similar. It's like your appetites change. You understand what good pain is, what bad pain is. Yeah. You understand, like for example, something that I wish I could download into my younger self is long-term gratification. When you're young, you want to feel good 5 seconds from now. Mm-hmm. So you do whatever, but that short economy is going to bust you out long term. You get a little wiser. You think, oh, I put this paycheck in the bank. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Same thing spiritually. Anyway, all that to say, he's doing that to me, which is coming off as very painful, like a detox. Yeah. It's not crack. It's not heroin, but it's a form of crack and heroin. It's like
addiction is addiction.
Yeah, like whatever addiction you got, whatever you're numbing yourself with.
Absolutely.
Christians are not thinking like this, but they should. They should comb over their life. Because if you allow him to put his finger on these places, he'll show you this is not good for you. This is healthy. Yeah. And I'm having that happen to me in my 40s. I'm having that happen to me with raising children. Yeah. Do I want to be this kind of father or this kind of father? Do I want to anesthetize or do I want to be present? These are constant decisions that you have to make in the Spirit, yielding them. And it's funny to see what's happening to you. I see it happening to you is sanctification. Yeah. You're just turning into something new. Your friends are seeing it. And let me tell you something else, dude. Like, this is another thing. Even if they don't give immediate credit for it, dude, they are mulling over that. Oh. Like, if you're hanging with those guys, they are mulling.
And I've seen the difference. So he definitely knows I'm here, and I'm sure he'll watch this, but Christian, his name's Christian, and he was an atheist. He was an atheist for ironic, so long, right? And he didn't believe in God.
So hilarious.
And I love him dearly, and he knows that, and I'd do anything for him. And I just remember I would always leave it go because, again, I didn't want to be the fanatic. I didn't want to be, and this was even before I was in truly knowing faith and knowing a relationship with Christ. But again, now knowing that relationship with Christ, it's like just it has to happen. So having these conversations with him, okay, 1 happened, 2 happened, 3, and now now he's asking me about it. Now we're on Xbox. Now he's saying to me, oh, well, I didn't have, like you said, I didn't have a good experience at first. I had a bad taste in my mouth. Yeah. And then when I sit here and explain that, okay, Christian, although you may have done wrong, although you may have gone through so much, he has a very similar background to what mine has, just a little differences.
Which is why you connected and became friends?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's why we're so close today. Yeah. And what's funny is I didn't know him all my life until after I graduated high school. So think about this. All those hardships and trouble, I wanted to go hang out with, I wanted to know people. I went to 12 schools and didn't know anybody. I ended up having my very own best friend being someone I didn't even need to know all that for 18 years. And it's like
a quantum leap.
Right. And in a way, though, I'm glad it happened because we got to rekindle and I can show him now that, okay, Christian, that stuff didn't happen because God just is heartless and did that. No, there's free will in this world. Everybody's gifted the power to do anything that they want to. I can sit here and use my hand for greatness, and I can sit here and smack somebody.
Yeah, that's right,
and you know what I mean? And if I sit here and say that God did it, I'm a liar. And I feel like he had that taste in his mouth where he was kind of thinking, okay, all these bad things happen. There's no way there can be a God. If my parents aren't here and I'm living with my grandparents, well, how can there be a God when this happened and this happened? And no one explained this to me. And if I want to go out and I want to use the words I want to use, if I want to go out and party, if I want to go out and play whatever I want to, if I don't want to sit here and dedicate my life to Christ, why should that? Why should that?
Mine?
Right? Why should that matter?
When I was younger.
And it's like, and I just sat there and explained to him, I said, Christian, like, it's all about the relationship. Again, it's not about, okay, Christian, you got to sit here and give this paycheck and do this and do that and be steadfast, Christian. It's a matter of having a relationship with Jesus, understanding that God sent down his son, not like his son to die, knowing that he was going to get so much pain brutalized,
yeah,
yes,
right.
for so long. Who's going to think of this guy as God the Son? Are you kidding?
Yeah, right.
And but understand that this actually happened, and understand that he did this so that everything that we do, although that it's not just a one-way free get out of jail free card either. It's not like I said with the whole ring the bell analogy.
Right.
It's not that at all. It's understanding that the things you did in the past, you did it and didn't think about it. And you just did it. And you just did it. And you didn't think of it as sin, and you didn't think about it as bad. You didn't think about what defines good and bad at that point.
Yeah, right.
But now if you were to do something like that, we're all not perfect. We're all still working in our ways. And someone that is being so, I almost want to say, washed over with Jesus and Christianity, I've noticed that I struggle so much with temptation of my old ways, and I can notice that as it's almost like, you know what I mean, like my friends are all around my age, 20, 21, 22, and it's like they've lived this life for so long, and who are you to tell me? And that's why I say it's not me. Don't believe me. Go read it.
Right.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Right.
Go and
Right.
just have an open mind. Everything that people told you, just let it all go and just
That's
understand.
very well
Literally,
said.
just think about it, open mind, and just say, is Jesus telling the truth? Is the evidence adding up that he did live a sinless life? And then think about it for a second. Look around. Has anybody lived a sinless life? Okay, that demands respect then, right? He was nailed on a cross, and instead of sitting here cussing these people and wishing terrible things upon these people, you know what I mean? For God, you know what I mean, save them. They don't know what they're doing. Like
Right.
the humility there.
Mercy.
And right. And it
drives you to
absolutely. And
Yeah.
it doesn't hit to you unless you really read it for yourself. I can't explain it to you. No one can really explain it to you other than the relationship with
Yeah.
Jesus and then seeing those works in real life.
You start talking, you use words like sin and you need a savior and stuff, and it just get prickly.
Yeah.
However, this is a turning point for me, and you really wandered around it in your conversation, that one day it dawned on me that the obedience that the Lord's talking about, we read things like law, and he wants you to do this and he doesn't want you to do that. Especially if you didn't have good parents, that can all seem very, what's going on?
Yeah.
Then it dawned on me, when you love a thing, when a thing has your heart, somebody doesn't have to be like breathing down your neck to get behavior out of you. Your love and your heart will dictate your behavior. So from the renovated heart, obedience will flow. But until he has your heart, the obedience will be at best just forgery, this kind of like theater of so that was so pivotal for me. We don't need to get real hung up. Actually, Christians spend a lot of time on magnifying behavior. If you're really living in relationship and communion, at least in my life, is how it works. When I spend time with him, he'll put his finger on it. And it'll be like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
This relationship you have, just like this pockmarks in your life. And it's so love. I have these two sons, and when I discipline them and dictate them, every decision is about loving them.
Yeah.
Like, if you do this, 2 steps down, you're going to take it right on the face, right?
Yeah. And
so
it's for
that's
their
what he's
benefit.
doing.
Yeah.
Like, for example,
exactly.
if you're promiscuous, here's what's going to happen. Your physicality is going to be affected. Your emotional stuff's going to be affected.
Absolutely.
The ability for you to glue to another person is going to be more challenging. These these laws and the sins, we got to reframe them in our mind as love.
Right. Yeah. And it's not like a lay down the law type of thing. It's not.
No,
It isn't that.
it's
if
your
you
heart.
want to do this. It's
love
just
him.
exactly. And when you feel that love, it's like it's almost just like it comes naturally. Like and I remember like watching, you said about like the 300 men and like seeing, like I see you talk about that.
Yeah.
You see it.
Really
more often than
passionate
not.
about that.
And I feel passionate about that too. I see what you mean, and I see it every day.
Can you imagine what it would do? Can you imagine helping to remedy that generationally?
Yeah.
Like, we're talking revolutionary ideas here.
Absolutely. And all it takes is a little bit of vulnerability. People don't want to sit here and talk, and people don't want to sit here and
No,
put
they
it all
don't.
out on the
No,
line.
they don't.
They want to keep it enclosed, and that's why I encourage people to go get baptized. Go like talk about what
Yeah.
you need
State
to.
your claim.
And
I'm here.
Exactly. And not
Yeah.
only that, but state your claim to Christ as
Yes.
well. Like
Yes.
talk to him. If you're not going to talk to me, Christian, anybody, if you're not going to talk to me, talk to
Yeah.
him. Because
Right.
because at
Right.
the end
Well
of the day,
said.
it's not going to be from us. Although that this is home base, this is where we feel the closest maybe to Christ sometimes. But like you said it the other day, for me, it's the other day, 3 weeks ago, maybe you were saying, pray in your car, pray in the shower, pray at your house, pray. It doesn't matter where. Like keep Christ involved in your life constantly,
Yeah,
and
like
you'll see that
meditate
He
on it.
will stay in your life constantly.
Right.
Like how you say, like how with the laws, like people say, oh, like people almost say like people don't want to stay with Christianity, or people don't want to believe in Jesus because like, oh, they got to follow all these rules and stuff. And it's like it's not that at all. It's like almost like, oh, well then if I don't believe in Jesus, I'm going to hell. And it's like no, it's that
Yeah.
if you're gonna decide to live this life now without a relationship with Jesus, He will grant your wish. And you'll live the rest of your life without Jesus.
Yes, that's
And if
exactly
anything,
what it is.
And what that shows people, and this is exactly how I stump people, what that don't believe it, it shows you that whether you believe in Him or not, He's still there.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
guess what? He's going to grant your wish anyway.
That's right.
And
C.S.
and
Lewis
it's
says
not-
that.
and it shouldn't be a negative. It shouldn't be something that should scare you. It shouldn't be like you should fear the Lord, but you should also be confident in Judgment Day. Like it goes back to like being one short. You shouldn't have that feeling because it's not that. If you have a relationship with Christ and you're truly, the intention matters. That's from Vern loved the intention. He knows your intention.
yes,
Although you might I sit here and I struggle to pray sometimes. I struggle to get the words out, and then I sit there and think, you know what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
you know
right.
exactly what I'm talking
Right.
about. And then it all just comes out, And it's like sometimes you just have to sit there and really contemplate with yourself, like let yourself be known. Let yourself be known to
Something
Christ.
about that is very powerful, right? Like, so this is particularly true of men, but I think probably true of everybody. This idea of not being vulnerable and not telling people the truth.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why that's such a hurdle. I guess we're taught from our childhood by a world that's cruel that if you do that, you're going to get hurt. And the truth is, right? You might. Like, people are not. Are you all right, buddy? Oh. People are not going to always show up for you the way you want them to. We all have realized that. But you're not going to really have a relationship with somebody if you're not honest.
Yeah.
And you're not really going to have a friendship if you're not honest. You're not going to really have a romantic relationship. And you're not going to have a relationship with the Savior if you're not honest. We almost have to detox from this, like almost we're born into this shadowland. We want to live in the shadowland.
Yeah.
That's where the enemy destroys us.
Yeah.
If you go to your brother and you're like, dude, I'm struggling with porn, I'm struggling with envy, I'm struggling with like whatever it is, right? You dethrone that evil
Yeah.
and light gets in there,
Right.
and the enemy scatters from it. It's
Yeah.
the exact, and this is the irony I've discovered. So I'm brutally honest with people. Like, my thing is like, I'll meet you 5 minutes and I'll tell you like, that's the way I live my life. It's very distasteful to some people because we are so addicted to living by lies. Dude, we live in a culture that loves to lie.
Yeah.
Like, all
Yeah,
we
like you
do
said,
is
stay in
lie
the
about
shadows.
everything, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is I've realized if you do that, so if you are honest with people, you will enjoy like deep intimacy that the average person does not get to enjoy, and quickly.
Yeah.
You were just talking
It
about
is
quantum leaping with that friend.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's because you guys were able to bring those walls down so quick
Yeah.
because you could trust each other because you knew, dude, this dude really knows.
Yeah, and
right?
and I never really thought about it like that. And when
Yeah.
when you put it all together like that, that makes it absolutely. When you decide that okay, enough is enough, you're gonna have an honest relationship with somebody, and you're
It is
like you said,
risky.
and you're absolutely
Yeah.
it's risky because you're making yourself vulnerable. You might think, oh, if this person leaves, I open myself up to them. But instead, I'd rather live my life as an open book, understanding that I'm gonna live my life by
Yeah.
faith and truth.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna and
It's
I'm
the only
okay-
way to live.
and I absolutely, I think that's the only way to truly progress and become what you want to become to begin with.
Yeah, that's
whatever
right.
you want, like just like it will all come. Just you have to
Yes,
be
the
steadfast with
desires of
prayer. You
your
have to be-
heart.
yeah, like.
And he might change them.
But it's
Right?
at the end of the day, it is what you want. Like, and
Yeah,
let's say as a
right.
14-year-old kid, you know what I mean? I want to go to the NBA. You know what I mean? like that might not
Right,
be what's
no,
going to
exactly,
happen. But
exactly.
like God obviously has a different plan. And if
Right.
you're going to sit there and like you said, people like to have their addictions and do that, but they like to put it in the shadows. And they don't
Yeah,
want to talk
they
about
all
it.
do
And
that.
it sits there and it sits there and it sits there and it
Destroys
sits
us.
there and it what is it waiting for? You're just going to keep throwing the ice under the refrigerator? You're going to keep it right under the like,
right.
And
That's
at
a
what
good
point,
analogy.
what are you going to be honest with yourself? And okay, enough is enough.
Yeah.
And whether that's admitting that to somebody that you trust very well, whether that's going to get rehab and therapy and the help maybe professionally,
Yes.
whether that's
Yes.
whether that's going to your church and talking to someone here, whether that's talking to Christ, but at one point you have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, and
Because
that's tricky. I don't know why
It's
that's
risky.
so tricky. You remember how you were saying you feel like a unique temptation of your old ways now?
Yeah.
That's real. Like I don't want like when Christians don't say the true thing, but he will find you there and meet you there. And the you that stands before me 10 years from now is so much more authentically you, rather than this house of cards, shadow puppet mythology that we all live in that isn't even true. You're not going to do anything with purpose with that. The other thing that's missing with young man is purpose. I've noticed that since I've made Christ King, I have this like deep sense of purpose every day, right? But prior to that, I didn't.
Yeah.
It was just these like, I don't know, like fictitious characters that I wanted the world to see that were never real. Yeah. I think the most bulletproof way you can live your life is no fear, a life of purpose where your life is not your own. What can the world do to a man like that other than kill him? Yeah. And if it kills you, you're home. Yeah. These people want to be tough. They want to be powerful. They want to be rich. They want to be famous. But those people, like when you really study them, they like Robin Williams strangled himself or committed suicide. You got these kings of the earth, like depressed as ever. The real lethal people are these people that are outside the matrix, bulletproof, living life of purpose and genuineness. I cite you 12 disciples who all got martyred, but their lives were like dandelion seeds in the wind that the enemy could not stop. I want to be that person. When I see my Savior, I want him to say, that is who you were. And by the way, he'll take you on an adventure that you would never have been able to orchestrate for yourself. And some of that's going to be excitement. Some of that's going to be dangerous, but I want that life. If you're a young man listening to us, don't you want that life? You don't want to just sit and masturbate in your bedroom and play video games. You want a real life. You want to live a life I know you do. Yeah. I was a young man too. I know that's what you want. You will not find that chasing the flesh. You will not find that there.
It's a great way to put it.
Right?
Chasing the flesh.
Absolutely. It won't give you that. It'll give you cages.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, we can't forever win the battle because the battle's already been won. We're fighting every day in a world where it's already finished. But like you said, what structure are you really going to have when you're just chasing things that are so worldly of this
merry-go-round? Not dust in the wind, baby.
Right, just running in circles, and it's like, what are you going to do for yourself then? And it's like, it can go either way, and it shows you. I feel like God also puts people in your life to see which way you can go. Yeah, and
definitely does. He definitely does.
I definitely feel that way. I know a lot of young adults that went a lot of different paths than I did, and I sit here and I thank God every day that went down the path I did. And I argue with a lot of people all the time because they're like, oh, well, my parents were this and my parents that, and let's sit down and talk because
let's trade stories.
And you would never want to. You'd never want to trade lives with someone because you have, what I mean, that little analogy, because you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah,
but like
that's very true.
He will put you in the positions you need to be put in, whether or not you want it or not. And then when you look back on it, you'll realize that, okay, I wanted that, but then look, I wouldn't be here if I did. And then all of a sudden you realize maybe I didn't want that.
Yeah.
Because that's not what your heart was filled with. That's not what the love was filled with.
Not what you were created to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And absolutely. Yeah. And then we all have that. Like you said, you look for purpose. Right. And I thought about that so much. Like,
so true. Don't you want that?
And you want to feel like you're needed. You want to feel like you have purpose. You have someone or something can look at you with look up and say, okay, they're this. You know what I mean? They put you on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And when you realize that you're never going to find purpose just following your own ways, you're just going to keep digging the hole.
Let's say you got it all. Whatever that is.
Then what?
Yeah. It's nothing.
Then what?
It's all a con. It's the woman in the red dress in the Matrix. It's the steak in the Matrix. It's not real. Here, another thing happened to me. I'm a musician and I played this charity event one time. It's a very profound experience for me. And what they do in these this is Habitat for Humanity was raising money. What they do is they put a bunch of millionaires in a room who have a lot of money that can write off their taxes and feel good about themselves for pageant. They like parade themselves like they're the good guys, but really it's just tax write-offs. Anyway, I'm in this room, I'm playing this like background music, and I'm watching these guys come in, and they're the most rich. They got $50,000 suits on. They show up in like a Lamborghini, and they got their fourth wife who's got augmentation surgery up and down. She's miserable because he's cheating on her, right? These guys are all looking at the other guy's wives. I'm painting you a picture here for a reason. And I got no money, right? I got 2 kids at home, a wife who loves me, and I'm playing this guitar, and it dawns on me, I'm the rich dude in the room.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It was like a profound, these dudes were straight up miserable. But 21-year-old Brock would have traded places with them in a minute.
Absolutely. And
Right?
I wish so many people my age would understand that. That is the greatest. That's so perfect.
Dude, it was an epiphany. I was like, every one of these dudes wants to be me.
Yeah.
Like, meaning I have a wife who loves me. I have 2 kids. I have real friendships. I have people who know me. Even as an artist, dude, I toured with a pop band and was chasing fame and all that stuff. Jump ahead all these years. I use music to encourage a church family who actually knows me. I could have never known how rewarding that was. I tell all my friends now who are musicians, I have many of them. I'm like, guys, let's say you got everything you wanted. They don't know you. Your art is like not as meaningful, the potential to live forever.
Yeah.
If it's grafted into a kingdom work.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, at best, dude, what is it like? Couple years on the charts.
Yeah.
It's just a total reframing of your mind. Let me prove this to you. These guys that wrote Amazing Grace,
I love it.
that will live for a millennia.
So
We will sing that song into eternity. Dude, and there are some baller songs being written, many of which I love, but they will not be sung into eternity. So this is a total reframing of your mind. Same thing with the way you spend your time. Same things with the way you love a woman, right? Same thing with the way you build a house or build children or build a generation. Like all that stuff is another, and Jesus gives you that.
Yeah.
He gives you that purpose. My friend Sean says, no sacrifice, no love. Dude, does that not cut through the noise?
Yeah.
No sacrifice, no love. I love that line. Yeah. When you're trying to find a wife, when you're trying to find a husband, no sacrifice, no love.
Yeah.
Fact.
Yeah.
Take it to the bank. 100% every day.
Yeah, and one thing that stuck out is when you said about how like it hits you.
It hit me.
And you know it's one thing that's very visible, how it's very obvious their life, right? It's very obvious that you don't want their life. You panned it out right away. You saw that this life is
Holy
terrible.
Spirit
You
helped me
saw
see
that they
that.
were miserable, right? But they can't see that you have a
can't
great life.
see it.
They had no idea. And it almost makes me think that all these
condescend
worldly,
to me,
right,
actually.
and all these worldly things are here to mask and overset. Right. They look at you like, oh, there's the guy in the background.
This poor guy
right.
doing it for a couple $100. This is pathetic.
When in reality,
Right. No, that's what they're thinking. I know. I'm not a fool.
Seriously, there's people out there, there are millions out there thinking they don't care.
They feel like I could buy this dude's life.
Yeah, and it's like,
Right.
but when in reality, the deeper meaning and the real, like you say, having that rich faith and that richness in your body, it's not about your net worth.
Yeah.
It's about the relationship that
Right.
you have and seeing that you can pick out what's so bad. It's so obvious. The worldly things I feel like they make
You
them
can start
so,
to see them.
yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
it's like candy, like you see, you know what I mean? It's like the colorful things and all this stuff. It's like it's so like,
And we are addicted to them.
oh, absolutely,
Because we grew up in the
Absolutely.
Matrix.
Absolutely.
We grew up in that. But he does take it from you. He strips it from you. That's what I'm talking about. I call it the skin graft. He's taking layers away from me that I don't even know were there. And I see it with young believers. I can see you're both newly minted believers. And I can see it. It's very refreshing for somebody who's walked with Jesus for a long time to be around you, because there's it's just like young love. Do you ever go to like a wedding and they're like, they have that dance and they're like, have you been married for 50 years? And then like a couple people get off, have you been married for 75 years, right? But this is the thing, the reason people love weddings, and I know this now, 17 years of marriage, you go there and you look at it and you remember, like for example, the 2 young men that are right in front of my company right now, never again will you ever get to do this thing where tomorrow, right? Literally tomorrow, you could actually meet your wife. I'm not saying you will, but the fact that you could is so crazy. You're living in the season where like tomorrow you could be in Hong Kong. Tomorrow you could be in Russia. Your life is so full, pregnant with possibility. Do not rush past that.
Yeah.
Like, I know you want things worked out. I wanted all my ducks in a row, but there is a powerful, unbelievable thing that you're in right now, and let the Lord be. And it's infectious. It only comes once, and it shapes you. It is tomorrow you could go to Denny's. You could like order breakfast at 12 o'clock at night, and your literal wife could walk in the building.
Yeah.
Now, don't let that possibility is in every moment. Whereas my phase of life, right, is full of like what the Lord wants me to do is build into other people. So much of me is now asked to die. I have to pour into sons. I have to sacrifice for a wife, right? So my life is full of sacrifice, which is also beautiful, but it's a different season. I wish somebody told me that when I was younger, because there's something, you're just always trying to make it go away. Like you're like, I just got to get all this, I got to get all this not settled down, gone.
Yeah.
Yes. And you'll know when it's supposed to be gone. Don't blow right past it though. The Lord can use that. You're so light-footed too. You guys could be anywhere and do anything tomorrow, and you wouldn't be doing anything wrong. God's word actually says some of the most effective carriers of the gospel are not anchored down. Even Paul says, better to be unmarried for the kingdom of God, because you will be so light-footed. You will be able to just pick up your knapsack and roll if you needed to. Now, don't get me wrong. When I heard that scripture when I was 20, I was like, Lord, please let that not be me. Because I'm trying to have like lots of sex with the hot chicks. But when you think about in the context of the kingdom of God, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Right? You don't have brick and mortar. You don't have a mortgage. You don't have a car payment. Like there's something very powerful about that can be very intoxicating. You can live a crazy life of adventure and you are literally in that phase right now. I will never be able to be in that phase again. And there's just something very potent about that. All of those years, all of those seasons are for a reason. And before you nail everything down, really be there.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at your spit and vinegar, Andrew, which you have lots of it. And dude, that for a generation that is apathetic, for a generation that has quit on life, for a generation that thinks they're screwed before they even began, dude, light them on fire with that passion. Light them all up. The world is lying to them right now. Black pilling them.
Absolutely.
Those kids are black pilled, dude. I feel...
And they're all just brains, you know what I mean, ready to soak in, and it's this world that just throws, and especially with social media, oh my goodness, like it's all almost made to do this now.
Yeah,
you know?
You could light a forest fire in that generation. I can see it,
and I feel like I've seen other people do it as well. Like when you light that candle for somebody and you show them, like Vern made the greatest example for the Trinity. You know what I mean, with the 3 candles.
Yeah.
Like you have the room lit. Turn around. There's one light, but there's 3 candles in that room. Like that's the Trinity. Like that. Like when you have that behind you, and then you see people in front of you that and those unlit candles, all you want to do is like a firework, like wildfire. I remember it was one of the Sundays here, and he missaid that. He didn't mean to say wildfire, but or like wildflower, I think he said. Spread like he meant wildfire, but he accidentally said spread like wildflower, and then it made me think that's
poetic.
even better.
That's even better.
Because imagine just a field that was just empty.
That's
just
really
rotten,
great,
right?
Yeah, it's
and then
really
you can
great.
also imagine a field full of flowers and full of life and full
and it's what you see.
And absolutely,
it's what you see.
absolutely, and it's like. It's what you're exposed to. It's what you choose to expose yourself to. But also understand you're going to be put yourself in positions of both ways. You can decide on which way you want to go.
Yeah, no doubt.
And like you said, it's amazing being in that time where you're so potent, you're in so many situations.
Yeah.
But also it's nice to have somebody by you that also wants what you want, you know,
yes,
and
it
that's
is.
for you.
Yes, it
like
is.
you said with your it's inspiring hearing you talk about being a father to your children and not ever having any of that in my life. And especially not having that, I want to be the greatest father I can.
Wilson
You know what
says
I
the same thing.
And I can't, and you can probably relate to it, man. When you don't have that relationship with somebody and you never had that connection, it makes you to be so eager to take care of your children and show them the things that I found, and I had to do it by myself. And like Ted said, you don't have to do it by yourself. You don't ever have to do it by yourself, ever.
That's the beauty of a church family, right?
Absolutely.
The scripture says that he will restore the years that the locust has taken from you. And we don't believe that enough. So if it's fatherlessness, he will restore it to you. You don't think he will. Like, for example, like you guys have this is such a beautiful gift. You have the ability, both of you, to stop the bleeding generationally. So the father that you guys are going to be to your children, that crap that happened to you will stop. That is an amazing thing to be able to do. And then your children and their children and their children will not have that. I mean, think about that. That is so the gospel, right? A gospel of restoration, a gospel of new life. You were once dead, now you are alive. Like, and in some ways, to have a father that is so passionate about being a father, that's the best father.
Yeah.
That's the best father. Like, he's not going to be phoning it in. He's not going to be yawning. He's not going to be urinating all his time on the phone. Like I see that all the time when I'm out and about. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Your kid is 6 for like a blink in time and you are on your phone. That's crazy to me. And it happens all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so quick. Like absolutely. And especially being forced to maybe childhood had to hurry up and I didn't have the time to experience all that. I can definitely, like you appreciate it more. Like when I have my children, I'll absolutely appreciate that.
It almost be like going through it for the first time with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. The innocence.
Yeah. And it's almost like in a way, like you want to be careful with doing that because it's like I want them to do it their own way. I want them to find out their own way. I don't want to be that.
Interesting.
Oh, I'm on your like.
It's a balance.
Yeah, right. Like I want to show them that love, but I also want them to understand like this all comes from because I didn't have that.
Isn't that
but,
interesting?
Like, even like
what
my
a challenge.
Father, like my father's dad was very righteous. Like he's a very perfectionist, and he grew up in the Catholic Church and very very steadfast man. I mean, this guy was really on his stuff. And to think that my father turned out the way he was, it can make someone like me think, oh, well, okay, I can do it all the right way. Put him in this, make him play the trumpet.
Thoughtful,
put
man.
him in
Super
Catholic
thoughtful.
song, and look at the way my dad turned out. So it's like, I know what you mean with putting that roadblock. We can sit here and we can put the roadblock in that, but it's also not only that, we can also teach them how to do that generationally.
You know, that's
through
great.
Christ. And not having it makes me so thankful that Christ was be able to look at me and give me that anyway.
Do you think not having that, Andrew, makes you more? Do you think that? I wonder about this sometimes because I was loved by both of my parents, and I've always struggled a little bit, I think, with receiving grace because I think when you found Christ, the hole that was left there was so satisfied with him.
Yeah.
It's almost like, do you think that you experienced that deeper because you didn't know it from an earthly father? Or like, how do you, or is it more challenging? Like, in other words, do you recognize it and value it more because you didn't have it in its earthly form?
Yeah, I think it definitely, I think if anything, it brings you so much comfort. And like you said, like that void, it's almost like, because in a way, and I was very easy, I have a brother that with the same father, and he's 40, I'm 20, so we have a very big age difference. And he has 3 kids, and he's doing it the right way, and he's steadfast in his ways.
You have a relationship with him?
And yeah, but we don't talk as much as we should, but he's doing it the right way, and it's good to see that someone from my father can do it the right way, but also it does bring me comfort knowing that, like, he took it the hard way, my brother. He really thought that it was his fault, that my dad was gone because he wasn't in his relationship either, like wasn't with him. And all that, for me, it was very easy to understand why he wasn't around because I saw it. I was there. I was the one calling the cops, breaking down the door, putting him in shackles. You know what I mean? Like I seen that. So I knew why I didn't want him to be there. So it's not that, it's like I didn't have this void where it was like, oh, I haven't had a father like that. I almost had it where it was like, I didn't even have the opportunity. Like I remember playing baseball with my dad maybe once or twice. You know what I mean? We played video games a couple times. Other than that, he was a working man. He worked, but outside of work, obviously he didn't. Yeah, it was soulless, you know, and riddled with alcohol and drugs, and of course just fornication and all, everything, you know. And for me, it was like I didn't even see what having a father was even like. So I didn't even have like that gap where it was like, oh, like I would see like when I would, that's the thing, I didn't play school sports, I didn't get to do all that. So it's like when I would see it, when I'd see like someone's parents watch it, I'd be like, oh, that's cool, but it's just like it never was even a possibility in my mind.
Wow.
So when I think about having Christ as my father, like that's something that I can sit here and admit I struggle to a lot sometimes, saying that that's a real father experience. Like that's actually a fatherly connection.
It is.
And it really
it's profound.
is. And yeah, absolutely. And it's like, for me, it's like not having that connection with a father, and especially a male, like it definitely is different. And it makes me appreciate, I think, more seeing men like you, men like Ted, following Christ. And it makes me want to do that more. And like to answer it more, like it does fill that void, but it almost just makes a whole new perspective.
Yeah, and what you're saying is very clear. It makes a lot of, and I really believe this, guys. I really believe this with all my heart. What we're going to inherit, and we will inherit this, is a harvest field of brokenness that the world has never seen. Like when, maybe not since the Dark Ages have we seen a world so lost. I mean, even like, some level of like Christian infrastructure has always been there, and we are truly moving into a time where we have people that don't even know who they are as people with their gender. We have people that are mutilating themselves. Yeah. We have people, and those people don't see this right now, but I can see it. They will come to the light. And when they do, they will be people that do not know their relationship with the Father. They will be people who do not know their identity. They will be broken in ways that will challenge the church if the church is only filled with people who have these like very orderly lives. That what we will need to weather that harvest are people who understand that pain and understand that brokenness. And I am with two of those people. And I would almost say, pray for such opportunity. I get out once a week. I walk the streets and I talk to strangers. And let me tell you, man, you get out in the middle of the day, you start talking to strangers, you're going to talk to some wild cats. And here's the thing. I'll tell you what the church needs. We need to get in the gym of awkwardness and start working out.
Absolutely.
Right? Because
break
that's what you're dealing with.
Yes.
You're dealing with bustedness. You're not dealing with everything smelling right. And you too, I'm telling you, you're going to be able to weather that better than, suck on your thumb in the fetal position because this is all so awkward. I just want to pull the ripcord. Like that's the kind of soldiers the kingdom is going to need. And if you want a life of purpose, ready yourself for that right now. It doesn't look like we're going to have a harvest field. It looks like everybody hates Jesus and everybody's like bigoted towards Christians. Let it look like that. Because what's going to happen is pressure is going to descend on this world. The things we have right now are going to be tested and we're going to wheat and chaff. I'm like, are you getting ready for this, dude? Are you getting ready for this? Or are you playing games? Because that's what's coming.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's serious.
And he's snatching you guys out of the generation that you're in for such a time as this.
You are so right.
That's true.
The more you think about it, the more it's like, wow.
What are you running into out there?
No, absolutely. And even better, what is it going to look like in 20 years when everybody is broken and looking at this and saying, okay.
You need lifeguards.
Right. Yeah,
they need
absolutely.
surgeons.
Right. And absolutely. And they need the right people to do the job.
Yeah.
It never will be us. And we're only relaying the message. Yeah, absolutely.
You'll be a vessel.
It'll be I might be the branch that reached out.
Yeah, right.
But at the end of the day, you have to read the roots.
Right.
You gotta really sit there in the tree and you gotta
purpose, right?
And it makes me so happy knowing that we all have these different people that we can relate to that are looking at us like, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't, and we're sitting there thinking, oh boy.
Yes, I do.
Not only do I know, but I know what it looks like on the other side.
Yeah, right. How hopeful.
And absolutely.
That's what they want. That's what they've always wanted.
You know how many people, not a lot of people get told that Christ will meet you where you're at. You don't have to sit here and penny up and, I got to fix this fast, then I'll go.
Yes.
And I'm doing this. Oh, well, they only do that and I do this, so I can't know.
That's not how it works.
No, he will meet you exactly where you're at.
And loves you right now.
Right then and there.
Busted in the gutter with the heroin needle or whatever your thing is, the sexual addictions. Loves you. And you're right, man. And think about this. Every time the Lord uses you to pull one of those from the jaws of hell, that is an eternal thing. Like the Lord has given me this vision. Like when we spend our time with people, When we spend our time with people, we have a possibility of trafficking in eternity. Everything else is going to burn.
Yeah.
Except for people. So think about that. Like when you spend your time, when you organize, dump your life into people, mentor people, be with them. I know that you can't do that 24 hours a day. Even Jesus had to pull back and rest, but I'm saying people are where it's at. Let's do this again. Let's do this often. You are such an asset to this church. Your age, your passion, revitalizing the crusty faith of people who have been in the bathwater of Christianity too long. Boldly move forward. Speak to all of them at will. Like continue. I will pray for you day and night, brother, to protect you. Very impactful on me. And to God be the glory. Nothing but a vessel, nothing but an opportunity, but it does encourage you to hear the stories.